Alrighty, this is JD, and we are here this morning with Daniel Nugent, correct?
Win.
What's that?
Win.
Daniel Win?
Like the hotel.
Oh, okay, awesome.
That's the easiest way to say it.
Gotcha, no worries. We got you set and ready to roll 5 laps in the Mercedes AMG GTR. Does that sound correct? Very good. And just a few things here before we get you rolling. The mirrors, they are set for me. Definitely going to get you going on track, but that's going to allow for me to watch everything around us. Also going to allow for you to focus on your driving. Just keep your vision up. Try and look as far ahead as best as possible. If we approach a slower moving vehicle, wait for the 4-way flashers to come on. At that point, I can point you by and let you know exactly which side of the track to pass. Definitely a very fun car to drive. It handles great, very responsive, very nimble. Of course, it's front engine, rear wheel drive. Just keep in mind you don't have a whole lot of weight over the rear of the car. Most of your weight is up front. However, even though you have twin turbos, there's really no turbo lag. It's very smooth, very linear power delivery. It comes on pretty strong. You're getting a lot of boost, a lot of torque, especially on bottom end. Because you don't have a lot of weight over the rear of the car, add that in with a lot of the torque and boost that you're getting. The car tends to be a little bit tail happy, but it still gives you a lot of grip. So just be nice and smooth on your steering, your throttle applications. This car has rear wheel steer, so the rear tires will actually rotate a little bit to help tighten up the turning radius. Just one more reason to be nice and progressive on that steering application, but just get a good feel for it. It's very well planted to the racetrack. The suspension's pretty stiff as well. As you get a good feel, we'll start to kind of gradually build on the pace. The brake gives you very good feedback as well. Just keep in mind we want pretty firm, pretty assertive brake initially into the braking zone, and then as you start turning in, a smooth and gentle release off of your brake pressure to rebalance all the way throughout the car. Paddle shifters behind the steering wheel, they're attached. They are stuck to the steering wheel, exactly, so they'll move. Third, fourth, and fifth gear we're primarily utilizing on the racetrack. I'm sure you're already aware, right is upshift, left is downshift. I'll be calling out those shifts while we're out on the racetrack just to keep us in the power band. But any questions or concerns before we get you rolling?
No.
Alrighty. Now we've already straightened out the steering wheel, so our wheels are straight. What I'll have you do is just go down on that brake, and then I'll throw us back into gear. And then when you're ready, we're gonna roll forward and then out to the left. Just watch for this gentleman here. And we're gonna head down this pit lane, and we're going all the way down to the end of the parking structure. And then we'll fall in line behind the Porsche here. And stop right here. We're going to pull in front of them. Just roll up to the stop sign and then stop here, check for the drift car, and then we pull next to the blue cone. So just make sure you do that for your next car. We're going to stop and wait for the SUV, and you are all clear to roll on track. We're just going to the right of the gray line. You're all clear, all set. You can roll on track, no cars are coming. We're going to go ahead and upshift, and then we'll follow this out and around to the left. We'll upshift once more, then straight line through the chicane. This is going to lead us out and around onto our main straightaway, so just feel it out the first lap, nice and progressive, nice and smooth on your throttle application. Upshift, going all the way down to the orange cones. At the orange this first lap, feel out the brakes, nice and firm though, and then ease off brake pressure, full release. Patience for your apex, and then a gradual application on throttle. We're just keeping left, with upshift. Down a gear, easing off your brake pressure toward your apex. It's a little blind through here, so crest all the way over the hill first, and then turning in towards your apex, wait for your apex, and then squeeze on throttle down the hill. A bit of brake on entry into our longest right-hand turn, so we're going to keep turning in towards your apex, nice and wide, then working your way back over to the right-hand side of the racetrack. Let off to rotate in, just a bit of throttle straight line through, a brush on the brake, turning in towards your apex. So just got to look further ahead, keep your vision up further, and keep her left, upshift, another upshift, add the orange, apex, ease off, brake pressure towards it. Unwind up to the top of the racetrack, squeeze up to full, good. Firm brake, down 2. As you rotate in, ease off brake pressure. Remember, mid-track, then pulling the car back over to the right. We have the flashers, which means we can pass on the left. Just give them a little bit of room. We're going to stay to the left just a bit. All clear. Braking a bit, and then ease off brake pressure. All good. Just get rotated towards your apex, and then use more of the track coming out. Good. You can use the inside red and white stripes. A little too soon. You got to look further ahead. You're looking too low. So spot your apex and look up to the end of the straightaway. Just keep breathing, nice and relaxed, nice and smooth. Upshift. Another. Braking, downshift, look at your apex, ease off brakes towards it, then look up to the end of the short chute, squeezing on throttle. Very good. We're gonna brake and downshift, spot apex, release the brakes towards it. Full release. Closing in on the back of the Porsche. Cresting the hill, carry your momentum to apex, then down the hill, squeezing on throttle a little more. Brake, downshift, pass on the right. You're fine, pass on the right. We just got too close to the car. Yep, it is. Go ahead and turn in. Go ahead and squeeze. Now, when it senses you're closing in behind another car too quickly, it just tightens up the belts. Go ahead and turn in. You're good. Apex, nice and tidy, eyes up, keep left, all good, upshift, firm brake, downshift, easing off brake pressure, good entry speed, keep it rolling, eyes up to the end of the short chute, squeezing back on throttle, good, on the brakes hard, downshift, but spot apex, release the brake towards it, full release. Start to ease off that brake slightly sooner. Quick brush, then release, no more. There you go. Little throttle, and then squeeze into it. A little more, a little more. A bit of brake. Now ease off. Keep that entry speed tidy to apex, and then gradually rolling back on throttle. Just can use more of the racetrack on the exit of that turn. Bit of throttle straight through the chicane. Even though you're kind of braking straight, spot your apex and turn the car towards it, and then at the apex, rolling out of the corner. There you go. Up. Another. Firm brake. Down a gear. Start to release your brake here just a little sooner. There you go. Better entry speed. Perfect. Car has the grip. It'll hold. On brakes, grab a downshift. Same thing. Off brakes, turning in, pass right. Don't focus on the back of their car. There you go. Ease off brakes, good entry, hit your apex. Back down the hill, keep on throttle. We're going to do one extra lap because of the traffic earlier in your lap, so keep turning in, even though we're going to catch a little bit of traffic this lap. Go ahead and squeeze throttle, you're good. Hopefully we get them on the straightaway though. Back on throttle through. Just a small bit, but as long as you're lifting, you're good. You're actually fine through there, no worries. Go ahead and start to pick up throttle down the main straight. Go ahead and squeeze more. Upshift. Keep on it. And pass right. Go ahead and brake to downshift. Down to the inside. Nice and tidy, and then squeezing back in it. Nice and wide out to the left here. Go ahead and brake and rotate towards your apex here. We'll stay tight to the inside. Very good. Crest over the hill. Good entry speed. Little maintenance. And then here, squeeze into it. There you go. Alrighty, now that was 6 laps. So we're going to go ahead and duck back into the pits through the blue cones. And then we'll follow this in. Very good. And like I said,
It's a good feeling car.
What's that?
Coming from a hybrid, you have manual,
straight
like
in.
it's completely different when you have the dual clutch.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit different.
Still love my
Straight
manual,
in
though.
and all the way around to the very first row. As I mentioned, sorry about traffic earlier in the laps, but an extra lap to kind of make up for it, even though we caught traffic the last lap.
I passed my friend, so I'm gonna mess with him.
There you go. There you go. That's
He
good.
was in the
Up
white
to the
GT3.
first row. and then we'll make a right, and we're going to the left of the white Aston there. And then we'll fall into this spot here. So just hard right in. Very good. And then we'll stop here. And then stop. And back up just a little bit for me. Over the bump. More, and we'll stop. Perfect. All right. Go ahead and let off the brake. So looking pretty good on track. Your line is pretty consistent. It's pretty good. As I mentioned, there's just a little bit more track to use as you're coming out of 5, which was that tight right-hand turn right here.
The slow one, right?
Yeah, okay. That slow right just before the pit entry right here, leading into the chicane.
Before or after the turn? Before or after turn 5?
On the exit of turn 5.
Use more of the track?
You can use more of the racetrack as you're coming on the outside of turn 5. There's more to use, which leads you into the chicane. And as I mentioned, just as long as you're lifting before you turn into the chicane, you're fine. You know, depending on the car, there's some cars where you do have to just kind of brush the brake very, very slightly, very, very gently to get the car to rotate. Others, you're just lifting. Most of the cars you're driving today, you can get away with just that little bit of a lift to rotate in, because I know you have like the GT3. I think you're driving the RS or the GT3.
The RS, and I have the Performante also.
Perfect, yeah. So both of those cars, you can pretty much just get away with a lift through the chicane, just as long as it's like an audible lift off the throttle to get the car to turn in. You might be going a little bit quicker with those next couple cars since you've gotten some laps underneath your belt. Just remember, focus on your vision. Stay further ahead of the car. As you go quicker, stuff approaches you a little faster. So just be a little bit more proactive with keeping your vision further ahead. But you're looking good on track. Like I said, everything looks pretty consistent, pretty smooth. Really no complaints on my end. I like what I'm seeing. So again, sorry about the traffic. You're moving along pretty good. Questions, concerns before we get you in those next couple cars?
You good?
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming back out.
Thanks, JD.
We'll go ahead and get you back your video here, and we will definitely point you in the right direction, get you moving.